Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to another episode of Black College Experience. I am Derek Thomas, one half of your Black College Experience team in Baton Rouge, Louisiana, and the other half, the better half, the CEO, the founder, the creator of Black College Experience, the one and only Keisha Kelly in Atlanta, Georgia. Kels, what's going on?
Hello, everybody. Thank you for joining us for a special edition of Black College Experience. We know it's a different day. We are on Monday. If you're rolling with us, make sure you call in at 719-373-6861, PIN number 49170. Of course, we're on Spotify, we're on Spreaker, we're on Apple, Google, Castbox, and iHeartRadio. So we're on every platform that you can think of right now to download the app and find us and listen to us.
Yes, indeed. Waiting on Deezer next. That's the last one that's on that list. So, and by the time they get us, we should be able to be heard by everyone everywhere. But it was an amazing week of HBCU college football. But I have my LB on. What's going on, PP? What's going on?
Not much.
Yes, indeed. So, of course, this was week one for us. HBCU football, college football, and kids been working hard in the summer, in the fall camp, just preparing for the start of the season. And we had a lot of big games going on this past weekend. Over the course of a couple of days, we took center stage on Sunday. And Kels, man, before we get into the games overall, what is your impression of the start of HBCU college football?
Oh my God, it was one of the most impressionable weekends ever for college football. I was very impressed with week 3. There were 3 schools that really, really, truly impressed me in the SWAC. I was so impressed. I was impressed, of course, with Southern. I was impressed with Alabama State. But Mississippi Valley, y'all did that.
That's right.
I was so impressed with Valley. I was on the road. And Patrick, I know you were, but I was literally like, come on, Valley, pull it off. I was so impressed with Valley. I don't know what to do. But Alabama State I think they put people on notice. They truly have, and I'm excited to see what the East is going to be like this year.
Yeah. PP, did you go to the game in Nashville?
Yeah.
All right, so PP was there. So let's talk about this game before we get into it. Since Kels is so surprised by our performance, which, I wasn't surprised. I had a good feeling that we would possibly beat Tennessee State because I did pick them in our media pick 'em. And we came up just short. So, PP, man, talk about this game. How close were we to pulling off the upset of Tennessee State?
Yeah, we were in. Yeah, that was. And I done dragged myself to a number of games at Valley over the years. Took some years off my life looking at all this losing and stuff. But man, that's probably the cleanest game I've seen us play in at least 5 or 6 years, probably since 2012 at least. No turnovers, stayed in the game till the end, and we were in the red zone, 4th and about 7 or 8 in their red zone with about a minute go in the game and just came up short, So, I wasn't surprised. I knew about all the transfers we had. That's how come I wasn't surprised by the result. I was expecting the game to be close. We were a 31-point underdog in Vegas. Yeah, that would have been easy money with that game and Texas Southern Prairie View game. So, but yeah, that was a clean game. Like I said, no turnovers. They got yards through the air, but we every time they would get into the red zone, the defense would step up and hold them to a field goal or field goal attempt. So, I mean, the thing that literally cost us the game was missed tackles. The last touchdown they scored, they missed like 3 tackles on number 3, who had a big game for them, and he took it for a touchdown. If we get those missed tackles cleaned up, we're going to be okay. I mean, I said, no easy games in the SWAC, man. Nobody is going to be a pushover this year.
Probably BJ. Probably BJ.
Yeah, this is Alondis. Oh, thank you. Thank you for inviting me. The illustrious Alabama A&M University.
Illustrious, huh? Okay.
I figured you would.
Mm-hmm.
I was.
Like Coach Nancy said, we just got to finish the games. We got to finish one of these. This is going to be the year we're going to finish one of those. Dang, we should have beat Grambling. Man, we should have beat Alabama State. Man, we should have beat Bethune. Now you can add Tennessee State to that list. But I said, it's eventually going to come, so you just got to beat them. You know, this is only year 2, so.
As far as the game, the crowd was, you're looking at, it's about a 25,000, so it's about 23, almost 24,000 people there. Jackson State, of course, they brought a majority of the crowd, but as we saw what the result was with Bethune-Cookman, I did not expect, and I expected because I did pick Bethune-Cookman to win, but I didn't expect it to be as it was. But the crazy thing is that even with looking at the matchup, Jackson State had 23 first downs. So, and they had a total of 506 yards. And even if you looked at the passing yards, the rushing yards, it was the penalties that straight out took Jackson State out, which resulted in that, in that final, 36-15 loss. But it was a great day, great crowd. The weather was fine. It was just a good atmosphere. It was way more, I can say it was very much more attended than the North Carolina Central and Prairie View was last year. But it was a great time. It really was.
Now, so what do you think about that 4-star transfer quarterback that Jackson State got from Florida? How did he look?
Well, they altered quarterbacks, looks like 3 times. So, I really can't, again, with penalties there, I really can't say, because the penalties, in my opinion, kind of outweighed everything to really get a good feel. But I honestly think Jackson State, clean up the penalties, I think they'll be okay. I think they'll be fine. Right.
And here's the thing. Jackson State has been struggling in the passing game past couple of years, and then they also kind of struggled on the ground, like you said, over 500 total yards of offense. So, and that Bethune-Cookman defense was no slouch. I mean, they have a guy by the name, I think his last name is Ford, who was a very, very good defender. And Jackson State, showcased their new weapons, of course, Jalen Jones and freshman Quincy Casey. Also, D.D. Bowie, transfer from Ole Miss, led all receivers in the game with 105 yards on 5 catches. And so, of course, Jackson State starts the season 0-1. We lose another MEAC SWAC challenge, but we just need to let y'all play a MEAC SWAC challenge, Kel, because y'all always win. You Jaguars.
We do. We won our 2. Craig, you won their 1. So you didn't hear this from me, but you are going to hear this from me. Word is now that Southern and A&T are going to do another MEAC challenge together, I think in 2 years or something.
Oh.
So, of course, it's just some rumors and things floating around. I think it'll be awesome. But then you think about, everybody opens up on the road, so it just depends. And, of course, it's all the rumors about who's going to Ohio next, who's doing the challenge. But, it was a good game.
Yes, indeed. Now, the next biggest game on the HBCU stage, and Mr. Rice, you have a vested interest in this game. Make sure I'm saying it right, Kel. It's the Black College Football Hall of Fame game.
Hall of Fame Classic, correct.
Hall of Fame Classic, okay. And this game, I mean, as I'm sitting up doing the points for the pick'em, I'm just sure Morehouse is going to win. I had already said in the group, Morehouse about to win, so I went on ahead and checked Morehouse and the points updated. And what happens next, Mr. Rice? What happened next? What happened? How did the game end?
They let the juice loose. That's what happened. They let the juice loose. He went into the end zone uncovered. He realized that they were in a zone coverage, and he took advantage of it.
Right.
Now, don't get me wrong. This game had me nervous, and I was a little disappointed, but I'm glad at how it turned out. But I understand, with it being the first game of the season, people are feeling themselves, but I still had confidence in my boys, and they pulled it out.
Yes, indeed. And Akil Glass, I think he's second team all-SWAC quarterback, threw for 397 yards and 4 touchdowns. He did have 2 picks, which was almost costly. And then, the running game, they kind of stymied the Bulldog running game. I mean, that Morehouse defense was not going to let Jordan Bentley beat you all, but they let Brian Jenkins beat them. Brian Jenkins had a game-high 12 receptions for 120 yards and that game-winning touchdown. Behind him, Xavier Moore, 6 catches for 117 yards and another touchdown. And then Keaton Johnson also had a touchdown, and Anthony Howard had the other touchdown. So on the ground, Bentley had 1 touchdown. For Morehouse,
and
go ahead.
I want to commend, Coach Reed from Morehouse. He did his homework on Bentley, and they were able to shut down the running game for the most part.
Mm-hmm.
But like anything, you have to. It's 2 parts of football: the ground game and the air game. You have to be prepared for both. And
right.
We were able to pull it out using the air game. And Coach Maynard said himself, we got to go back in and tweak some things, and we got to work on, the O-line. But we will be prepared. It was an eye-opener, and it was a humbling experience. So
yes.
The true tests were coming, I'd say about the midweek, after we got to get through Arkansas Pine Bluff, hats off to them, how they did against TCU. There are no slouch teams in the SWAC. Everybody's, competing since the Celebration Bowl. I see now that everybody is being very competitive. So
yeah,
we got to get past Arkansas Pine Bluff and then on to Sanford. Those games. So we got to get these boys ready. We can't pull that same what we did with Morehouse and try to become a contender in the SWAC. So.
Right. And let's look at Morehouse stats. Morehouse used a 2-quarterback attack. Michael Sims and Jalen Brown combined for 306 yards, 3 touchdowns, and 1 pick. Electric running back Santo Dunn. You kind of held him in check, but he had 59 yards and 1 touchdown. Through the air for Morehouse, Tramiel Gooden led receivers, 85 yards and 1 touchdown. Behind him was Frank Bailey Jr., 81 yards and 1 touchdown. And Santo Dunn through the air receiving wise, 63 yards and 1 touchdown. So, pretty good game from him when you were able to hold him in check in the run game. And that dramatic, heart-wrenching kills. You know how it is when it gets down to the wire. You know how you get when these games come down to the wire. When you saw that pass go in the air and Jenkins haul it in, what went through your mind?
Well, like I tell people have to understand, again, Alabama A&M raised me, but Morehouse College takes care of me. So I'm split on it. So I do a lot of work. And so right after the game, I had to call my boys. I had to call them and check on them. And they were very hurt. They were crying. And it was something like, I'm like, at this point, it's really no reason to hang your head because y'all played a hard-fought game. Y'all played really well, but it came down to 8 seconds, and I can't tell you enough. Akil Glass did that 20 yards to Jenkins. That was the nail in the coffin. That's the nail in the coffin that sealed the deal, and that's commendable. That's hats off. Even though Morehouse lost, you can't overlook what Akil Glass. That's hats off to them with that touchdown pass. That right there was very hurting to see them lose like that, but it comes with the territory. So, with them, they're just saying, that they feel like that'll make them, more hungry to compete with teams in the conference. And honestly, I think because they beat Pine Bluff last year, they're coming into it with the mentality of, okay, if we can beat Pine Bluff, let's see if we can beat Alabama A&M. And honestly, some of, they were like, okay, we'll be ready. And Coach Freeman, I have them ready. And Coach Freeman actually had them more ready than I thought. But I know it had to be exciting to be in the building. I did. I wanted to be in Ohio more than I wanted to be any place else yesterday. I wanted to be there to see that because I knew it was just an inaugural moment, and it was just a great environment for both A&M and for Morehouse.
Yes, indeed. It was great games. Now, let's jump to a game where I know your emotions were tied into it because as I was watching this game, I was like, I picked Southern. To win. Keep Dawson Odoms start off his year 8 with a win and keep the first-year Minis coach from getting his first win. But your Jaguars fell 34-28 against McNeese State. And you guys had a chance to win this game. I think if we had a little more time on the clock, it's possible the Jazz could have pulled it out because they outscored McNeese State in the fourth quarter. I mean, did Ladarius Skelton get hurt? Because I see, he only completed 5 of 9 passes for 2 touchdowns, but Glendon Bubba McDaniel came in and he was 11 for 19 for 135 yards and a touchdown. So you guys have a 2-quarterback attack now. So what do you think about this game, Kills, and just your overall impact as far as with the quarterbacks and losing the way that Southern did as far as they went down to McNeese and competed and almost came out with the W?
Well, of course, you always want to walk away with the W, but when you walk away with the L, I'm fine with that. I'm okay with them losing. For one, of course, we were picked to not win. So when we walked away with it being just a 6-point deficit instead of a 25-point deficit, I was okay with that because to me that told me that despite the turnovers, we still were able to come back and do what we did, 34-28. So you said if it was more time on the clock, I'd say, hey, if you had to turn the ball over, 5 times? But even in the end, those guys played, and it just gives you something to look forward to on both sides of the ball this year and this upcoming season. And it's just like you said earlier, it just lets you know that no team is a slouch. Everybody's trying to compete. Everybody scored. Everybody in the SWAC scored. we all didn't win, but everybody scored at least 7 points this weekend. So I am with 2 different quarterbacks, and you're seeing how both of them can produce. It just excites me because last year, at the same time, when Ladarius did not get the starting job, and we see what happened on the second half of the season coming in, it's now that the team is gelled and everything is kind of working around him. It's like everything is kind of figured out, and he was the last piece of the puzzle. So I think once we get more comfortable, that was the first game. Now, like I said, if we're 4 or 5 games in and we're into SWAC play and you're making mistakes, then I got a problem. But I'm okay with losing 34-28. It's not 34-0. I'm okay because you've done something.
Now, I'm looking at these turnovers. There were no interceptions thrown. These were all lost fumbles. Easterling lost 2. Skelton lost 2. Maybe that's the reason why he was pulled. Nelson lost 1. And then Devon Ben, they had 6 total fumbles and 5 lost. So, I think the Jaguars, had you guys been able to minimize those turnovers, I have no doubt that Southern walks away from McNeese with the W. And I want to know, but of course you have those turnovers, and those were the turning point. Those are the turning point of the game. Now to the Labor Day Classic, rivalry game between Prairie View and Texas Southern. The debut of new head coach McKinney for Texas Southern and new quarterback DeAndre Johnson for Texas Southern. Prairie View didn't care. They took care of business. They defeated the Texas Southern Tigers 44-23. And here's the thing. The 2 players that started out hot for Prairie View last year did it again. I mean, Jalen Morton, 350 yards passing, 2 touchdowns. DeWanya Tucker, 188 yards rushing and 3 touchdowns. For the better part of the first couple weeks of the season, he was the leading rusher in the nation, I think, at one point. So we know what he can do, and when he gets going. Through receiving for the Panthers, Tony Mullins had 141 yards and 1 touchdown. For the Tigers, DeAndre Johnson in his SWAC debut threw for 259 yards and 2 touchdowns with 1 pick. Ladarius Owens on the ground ran for 95 yards through the air for Texas Southern. Donnie Corley had 92 yards. Trendavian Dixon had 76 yards and 1 touchdown, and Chris Long had 68 yards and 1 touchdown. Mr. Rice, did you get a chance to check out any highlights of the Prairie View and Texas Southern game?
Oh, yeah, I was able to watch that on the ESPN app, and I was quite impressed with both, actually, team play, but it looks like they got a little short-winded. Texas Southern got a little short-winded in the end. Prairie View just went on and ran it out. Now, I was looking for that 4-star QB that transferred for him to do something. And did I hear you correctly that he didn't play this game? It was
DeAndre Johnson
from last year. Yeah.
Oh, no, he played. He was 22 for 37, 259 yards, 2 touchdowns, and 1 interception for Texas Southern. Okay.
But, yeah, I was quite impressed with both fields of play. But I figured, Dooley, he is an offensive genius, and I figured he would go on and pull that game out. With this being McKinney's first year, I really wasn't going to give him the first game,
right?
But I just felt more comfortable with Prairie View this year winning this one.
Kels, what did you think about Prairie View's dominant win over Texas Southern? And they're coming for that SWAC West spot.
And I think I agree with him when it said, with this being McKinney's first year. But there were actually some people that said, okay, they're thinking with what Texas Southern did as far as recruiting, that this was Texas Southern game to win. And I was just like, nah, not this year. I just don't see it happening. But like you said, I mean, it was. When they pulled away 20-something points away. So I knew that this was probably Dewey's game to win, and I think that it was, like you said, the West is going to be a problem within itself. The West going to be a problem all by itself on the side by themselves. So it's going to be a shootout on the West side.
Now, in a game that, of course, we knew we didn't have a chance to win. Arkansas Pine Bluff traveled to TCU to take on the Horned Frogs, and the Golden Lions suffered a 39-7 defeat. But they got paid. So another one of these questionable money games where we lose about 32 points. And, of course, Skylar Perry didn't play a lot. But we got paid, gonna help that little budget, but can't do much for morale of the players. In the other two FBS games, I mean, Grambling versus ULM, and I know I was hoping Chad was gonna call in because a lot of SWAC fans, HBCU fans, felt like Grambling had a chance to go down to ULM and come out with a victory, but we're only able to put up 9 total points, 1 touchdown, a missed extra point, and then a field goal. And we're losing the game 31-9 to ULM. A pretty good, I guess you could say the Tigers competed, but they were able to run the ball on ULM, but we just could not stop them defensively. So, not the best showing for Grambling, but when you're going up against an FBS opponent, when your team is not as strong as you're used to them being, these types of outcomes happen. But it was good to see them compete. Also, Alcorn. Now, they are the beasts of these.
Before we move on, let's go back to this Grambling. Let's go back to this Grambling. So 31-9. Now you say, okay. Now I think how many times? I think they got to the red zone. 5, 6, 7 times? They couldn't score. So honestly, I didn't think they were going to be ULM. I didn't. I'm gonna say that honestly, and that's an honest, unbiased opinion. I never thought they were going to be ULM. Never, not with this team. Like with a team in the past, maybe when they had, Mr. Excitement, Martez, with those teams before, with the Javante Kincaid, yes, that would have been their better chances. But with this team here, I just could not see them. Now, scoring-wise, I thought they would have at least put up 17 points. I thought they would at least put up 17. Mm-hmm. But it's still like I could have saw a 31-17. I didn't see a 31-9. I did see at least a 31-17.
PP, you have any comments on the Grambling game?
Yeah, I know people let their fantasy in their way, but nah, I mean, not like Keisha said, not the team that they have right now is not going to be the team like ULM that appears to be improved and no.
Right. And the Grambling defense gave up a lot on the ground. They gave up 315 total yards on the ground, but they also fought back. They gained 243 yards on the ground. So to be able to run like the Tigers ran on FBS defense, even though it's a Sun Belt squad, still that has to make Coach Fobb smile, even though they weren't able, like Keisha said, were not able to convert those red zone scoring attempts. So I guess going forward, go back to the drawing board for Grambling for their next opponent. Now, may I go to Alcorn, please? Keisha?
You said Alcorn and what? I'm sorry.
I'm asking, can I go to Alcorn now?
Oh, yeah, I'm good. That's all I had about that. I'm sorry. Yeah, I'm sorry.
Well, can I interject one thing?
Go ahead, Mr. Rice.
In my honest opinion, and, some people would disagree, in my honest opinion, I felt that Dooley was the success behind Fox.
Uh-oh.
That's my honest opinion.
Oh, boy.
And
wait. So before you move on, you're not the only one to say that, and I'm just gonna move on from it.
Okay.
I'm like, honestly, it's not just you. A lot of people say that. Grambling don't like to hear that. People don't like to hear the truth sometimes, but I mean, you're not the only one to say that.
Yes, indeed. Okay. See, I wish Chad, man, you supposed to call in tonight, and I know you was gonna fire back with that comment because we know how Chad feels about his Grambling State Tigers and how he feels about Coach Fobbs. So now on to this Alcorn State versus Southern Mississippi Golden Eagles game. Now, Alcorn State is our defending SWAC champion, and from what I saw on social media, Alcorn, even though they lost 38-10, they gained a lot of respect for how hard they played in this game. Even though USM won by 28 points, but Alcorn looks to have competed and gained respect, and that's what you want. You want to have a respectful outing against a team that's on paper supposed to be better than you, supposed to be stronger than you, and not play down. You want to play up. You want to try to exceed what people think you're going to exceed. And I'm pretty sure Coach McNair, even though they gained respect from fans, one of the better showing on the field. Noah Johnson threw for 143 yards and 1 pick. Deshaun Waller ran for 51 yards and 1 touchdown. The Braves defense, gallantly trying to contain that Golden Eagle offense, just could not stop the Golden Eagles. Alcorn only scored 10 points all in the third quarter. The Golden Eagles scored points in every quarter. So this was I guess you could say, as hard as Alcorn's defense played, they were unable to stop the Golden Eagles from scoring. I think that was our last game for the SWAC. But before we move on to more games, there was an incident that happened, Kels. Got to go back to this.
Sorry. Before we go, we didn't talk about Alabama State.
Oh, hell yeah. Thank you. That was my last
we didn't go to Thursday. We didn't talk about Alabama State. We talked about Alabama State.
Slow me down now. I have it up here, but it was over in the corner. Now, Alabama State went up to UAB to take on the Blazers, who are back in football for the second consecutive year. And Alabama State, Kels, almost pulled an upset. They only lost 24-19. The Hornets were stinging the Blazers as best they could, but unfortunately they failed 24-19. What do you think about this game, Kels? How do you think Alabama State was able to, compete with UAB where they almost had a chance to win?
Well, I did. I kept on saying, okay, I'm turning it off. I'm done. I'm not listening to it anymore. And every time I was done, something else happened. And every time I said I'm finished, something else happened. The funny thing is on the first part of the possession, you have UAB rather. I'm sorry. They score on their first. They score first, and then right after that, here comes Alabama State. What was it? 6, whatever it was, straight down the middle, touchdown. And I'm like, wait, that's Alabama State. So when I see 7-7, I'm like, oh, okay. And so the back and forth scoring, I was like, oh, I can't. But once it got to, they had 19 where they were within, I said, it's still a game, it's scoring. And I knew it. I was like, oh, UAB probably we got to hurry up and close this out. We can't let them beat us. We got to hurry up and let them go ahead and close it out. But I was very impressed with them. And I know A.D. Williams was very impressed with them too. So I was real excited. I was like, okay, Alabama State. The funny thing is that Tuskegee already started talking about what they're gonna do. I said, y'all, this is not the same team from last year, not the same coach. So
Yeah.
Just to give y'all a heads up before y'all start talking.
Mr. Rice, your comments on Alabama State versus UAB.
I'll say this. For the culture, I was hoping they'd pull it out. But as a rival, you know how I felt about that.
Exactly.
I would get it.
And you know what? I have to say this. I mean, it's funny. Since you are Alabama, A&M Bulldog, isn't that Jennifer Murray School as well?
Yes, it is.
Both of y'all won the Pick'ems this week. I mean, is that are y'all trying to take over?
Well, what can we say? What can we say?
But before we move on to the MEAC, gotta go back to the SWAC MEAC SWAC challenge. I'm a SWAC MEAC challenge. We gonna go first. Forget the alphabetical order. SWAC MEAC challenge. It sounds better. There was an incident that's been playing on SportsCenter with the Jackson State mascot running onto the field after a touchdown. Keisha, you were there at the game. What was your initial reaction when you saw? Do they still call him Wavy Dave, PP? I mean, when I was growing up, the mascot was called Wavy Dave. I can't remember what he's called now, but he ran out on the field and got a penalty. Keisha, what do you think about when you saw that? What was your initial reaction?
Because I don't know if y'all know, I can't see really well. So I'm always watching the Jumbotron instead of the field. So I'm watching the Jumbotron, and when I see it happen, I was like, they're gonna get a penalty for it. They're gonna get penalized for it. And so they're like, nah. I was like, they're gonna get a penalty for the team. Next thing you know, here they go with the penalty. I don't know why, and I still don't know today why he ran to the pile. I still don't understand why he ran to the pile. And to me, of all the things to make ESPN, this is what they put on ESPN. That's what I did not like. This is the one thing to make ESPN, the mascot wanted, get a penalty. That's not what made Jackson State lose, though. But it was. I was just like, man, it was at the time, I guess it was funny to him, but Lord, a penalty, and there's been plenty of schools, TWIs included, that have done the same thing and got penalized for it. So I'm like, shoot, I guess it's fair game. Anybody do it? Somebody else has said, I was going to run on the field too, but I was too far away. And I'm like, seriously? So it was. I mean, I don't think the people even were considering. Somebody else in Jackson State was like, I was going to run out there too. And I'm like, y'all, this ain't the home field. Like you can't, this is on TV. It's on ESPN. You can't do that. But, I mean, I guess to him, he was like, I'm going out with a bang. It's well worth it. I mean, we ain't winning right now. So, yeah, it was what it was.
So, of course, we're going to talk about Jackson State. I know me and PPR. I know I am. I'm going to pick on that mascot. There was audio posted in post-game interview, and Coach Hendricks said he's going to make him roll, worm, and I can't remember the last one that he said he was going to make him do. So Coach Henry wasn't happy about that, but of course, people want to try to say the mascot took momentum away from Jackson State. That may be true to a point at some point, but eventually the mascot isn't missing tackles. The mascot isn't dropping balls. He's not missing blocks. So it's your responsibility as a team to get momentum back. You know, yeah, you can fuss at the mascot. He shouldn't have done what he did. But it happened. Got to move forward and get ready. You know, you lost the game. Now time for game 2. But before we move on to the MEAC, got some news items. Kels, you're going to like this one. Southern University's Ricky Weeks, you know that name, baseball all-star from the Jaguars, was inducted into the Milwaukee Brewers Wall of Honor. So, Kels, as a Jaguar, how does it make you feel to have Mr. Weeks on the Brewers Wall of Honor?
Yeah, well, that is what happened like 2-3 weeks. Like happened a couple weeks ago. So actually, after it happened, I did get a chance to talk to him and congratulate him on that. Of course, they talked about it in the course of the thing at Southern. So I think it was a great thing. It's always a great thing when we see our players from HBCUs honored not only by our universities and our institutions, but also honored in higher honors by those NFLs, those NBAs, those MLBs, for them to be honored in such higher esteem of their former colleagues or players that they've been around. I think it's a great thing. And just to see that happen with Ricky, he's doing so many other things, including still things with Southern. I think it was a great thing.
Yes, indeed. So that's just awesome. And just to run down the players of the week in football. Offensive player of the week, of course, was Prairie View's DeWanya Tucker. 298 all-purpose yards, 188 on the ground, 29 in the air, 81 in return, 3 touchdown performance. Co-defensive was Prairie View. A&M was Trashad Smith. Had 12 tackles, 1 sack. And also Arkansas Pine Bluff's Kobe Watts, 10 tackles with 1 sack. And Alabama State specialist Anthony Craven finished the game averaging 49.1 yards per punt. Newcomer was Duran Bell, finished with a career high 112 yards on 10 carries. So congratulations to our SWAC football players of the week. And now on to the MEAC. All right, I don't want to call them Mighty MEAC because we the SWAC. Of course, the SWAC football and MEAC football was on center stage 3 nights, Thursday, Saturday, and also Sunday night. I had 4 games on Thursday night. First game, of course, was Tyrone Wheatley making his debut for Morgan State against Bowling Green. And if you haven't really followed that story, if you know who Tyrone Wheatley is, he's a former college running back for Michigan, former New York Giants running back. Not a lot of coaching experience, but was, hired to be the new head coach at Morgan State. And his debut, a loss to Bowling Green in a money game. But still, you want to see, what he could put on the field against an opponent. I guess you could say that's more rounded or more rounded for Morgan State, because Bowling Green put a hammer on them. You couldn't really tell what you have there with Morgan State, because not a lot of offense in this game. Just 24 yards in the air, 46 on the ground, and Bowling Green just churned it up, 294 in the air, 326 on the ground for over 600 yards of total offense against the Morgan State Bears defense. So hopefully they had a lot of defensive tackles. You had 3 players with double-digit tackles for Morgan State. Ian McBurrow with 15, Rico Kennedy with 14, Maurice Lewis Jr. with 11. Any questions or comments on the Morgan State game?
No comment.
All right. Up next, Delaware defeated Delaware State out of the MEAC 31-13. UCF, number 17 ranked UCF, blanked Florida A&M 62-0. Austin P defeated North Carolina Central 41-10. Those were the 4 games on Thursday night. And after the game on Thursday night, a player, and this is kind of weird, after playing in the game, a quarterback, Chauncey Caldwell, entered the transfer portal. And we know with this transfer portal, players have been taking opportunity to find playing opportunities elsewhere. But correct me if I'm wrong, y'all. Is this one the first to happen right after a game? What do y'all think about that?
To be honest with you, I dislike the transfer portal. I know it's been there for years and everything, but with the NCAA, changing, loosening up the rules a little bit, it's made the players easily, just if they're not happy in this situation, well, I'm gonna just leave, instead of sticking it out. I don't know the situation about the North Carolina Central QB. That's just odd that you quit after one game. It has to be a backstory to that.
PP, Kels?
No, in my opinion, I also agree with him that it has made it more easy, in my opinion, more flexible for them to do such a thing. And it is. If I don't like what's going on, then I'm just going to quit. It's just kind of like NFL players. If I don't like my check, then I'm going to hold out. I want more money. So with them, it's like if I don't like after one game, and then you look at the game that you're playing, it's like, okay, if I don't like this game, I didn't like this outcome, this situation, I can just go into the transfer portal and I can just be ready to go. And it is. It's just changing the game now.
Yes, indeed. And now continuing down the MEAC slate, on to Saturday's games. We already talked about Sunday's game, the MEAC SWAC Challenge. Bethune-Cookman defeating Jackson State 36-15. We had 4 games on Saturday. The first game I want to talk about, get it out the way. And Kels, you kind of, when you said is every school in the SWAC scored, but not every school in the MEAC scored. FAMU got blanked, and Howard was blanked 79-0 by Maryland in Coach Prince's debut. Now, we know this team is led by Kaylin Newton. We know this team has beaten FBS schools in the past, but I did not expect Howard to lose the way they lost to Maryland. I mean, Kels, when you saw that score, what was your initial reaction?
2 things, and I actually had this conversation with Mark Gray earlier. There's too much talent on the team for Howard for them to get. It's honestly just a straight obliteration for them to come out with an outcome like that. It's embarrassing, and when it's broadcasted like that, it's even worse. And I am honestly, if we could do away with money games, I would take it in a heartbeat. I do not like to see our guys put on display like that. Because 79, there has to be a point where you just got to cut it. And in that case, it is. Even with UCF and FAMU, same thing. I absolutely hate to see 60, 70, 80 points scored on another team, and it's like they don't even. I absolutely hate to see it.
PP.
I've been against money. I don't think we should be playing any P5 schools. We ain't there yet. Not even.
So you
not
would
even
rather
eight,
play group of 5 schools than Power 5?
Yeah. And HBCUs got to get smarter with how they schedule. Like
Exactly.
A&T is showing you how to do it. Schedule MEAC schools. Schedule bottom tier American Conference schools. Do that. But at this point, against a Big Ten school in Maryland, and it still sounds funny to call them a Big Ten school, but a Big Ten school like Maryland, no, we shouldn't be. No, not. It ain't worth it. Not like that. I know student athletes want to play against the best.
They want to measure up. They want to see how they measure up.
Mm-hmm. Yes, but
Mr. Rice.
Yeah, I agree. Us going up against big schools like that because not only are we outnumbered with the more scholarships they have, 83, and what we deal with 64, then you got these schools that have nutritional programs, weight programs, and all of that. And then also with Mike Loxley coming from Alabama. I'm not an Alabama fan, but he was a good offensive coordinator.
Right.
So
Absolutely.
yeah. So that was it looked bad on us, and it made HBCUs look bad. And honestly, I think sometimes it could be a hindrance, and then the recruiting process too as well. How they look at HBCUs compared to these other schools. So I agree with the gentleman when he said, if we're gonna schedule the games, schedule with a lower tier team, not no power 5. Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
And I think one of the things is like I was watching volleyball on Saturday, and I got a chance to watch my Southern Jaguars, and they were playing Georgia Tech. And, it's like, okay, it's still the same thing. You go out there, you compete, you do the same thing they do. You got to at least go out there and try. And there was a guy behind me, and he says, oh, yeah, with them, this is just practice. Well, I'm just listening. He said, with Georgia Tech, this is just practice with them. It's just like they practice until Southern start hitting them, and they start hitting them. They punching them in the mouth back to back to back. Now he's silent. Now, granted, they didn't come away with the win, and I told him, I said, it's never just practice. I said, don't look at it because it's an HBCU that we can't compete. Even if they don't win, it's still not practice because both teams got to still go out there and play. You still got to go out there and do something. You can't just go out there and just stand. You still have to do something. But I do. That's probably the best point I've heard. You scheduling Power 5 schools, bro, you can't even beat the lower half of another conference. And you trying to go schedule a Power 5? No, that's not. And that's how these kids get hurt. That's how they get hurt.
Yep.
All right. Yep. Excellent points. I agree. I do agree that no, we should not play Power 5 schools, not even the low-run Power 5 schools. I do agree that we should play maybe the sorrier group of 5 schools. I think we should.
Yeah,
I think that's more of a measuring stick to play the mid to the bottom half of a Power 5. We still get a check, and we may come out with a little more of a with our chests out a little more. Now, granted, when you have a strong team like Grambling had a few years back when they were playing a middle-of-the-road Pac-12 team in Arizona and had them on the ropes, you want to see if your team can rise to the occasion. But we kind of know that a lot of our teams, if you can't compete in your own conference, you shouldn't be playing a Big 12 team or a ranked team to begin with. But we're getting that money. But at one, like my old boss used to say, Reverend Dr. Robert Wynn, all money ain't good money. So you need to look at, is the money good money that you're getting? Yeah, you may be getting a little exposure. Yeah, you get a chance to go on a trip. But overall, how does it impact your team? Now, don't get me wrong, Kels. I'm going to bring this up simply because of this, because you mentioned this. Devin Gale. Yes, he's recovering, but look how it impacted his life playing in that game. Changed his life forever. I'm pretty sure if you ask him if he could play in that game all over again, he's going to say, yeah, I want to go play. But he will hope to come out of the game with a different outcome than what he's gone through. And he has battled back, making a life for himself, and it's good to see him persevere. But what if Southern did not play the game? I mean, I know that's in God's hands. I know I can't play God, but we don't want to see our players have their lives impacted negatively like that, even though they can bounce back and persevere and show strength like Devin Gales has. And he is the epitome of showing strength and bouncing back from his injury. So I want to let everybody know that even though he got hurt, he has not quit on life. And that shows you his perseverance. That shows you the heart of a Jaguar. Hey, did I just say that? Oh, my God.
You said it. And then it is. He's honestly, Devon has become one of my favorite people. And just to watch the story from 2015, I was there the day it happened, the day he went to the hospital. We were at the hospital. We were the whole process. So to watch that from 2015 and imagine your parents being 8 hours away and they're having to travel your parents 8 hours away because they hear that something happened to their child. They got to fly you 8 hours from where you are to get you here to Atlanta, to get you to the Shepherd Center. So the process has been one. It's been a crazy one, but I say the same thing. If you ask them, they'll be like, yeah, I'll do it again. But the kids should not have to go through that. You want the money games, but half of the times you can't afford to get them to where they're going to. You got to take but it's just too much. It's just too much. And then you start to say, is it really worth it?
Right.
Right.
So now on to another money game, which was almost a mistake for ODU, scheduling the Norfolk State Spartans. And this was a game that was on my pick'em where I did which HBCU would score the most points against their FBS opponent. No one picked Norfolk State. Norfolk State scored the most points, 21 points total against ODU to lose the game 24-21. The Spartans fired back in the fourth quarter, scoring 15 points, but it was not enough. On the field, Jawan Carter transferred from Louisville. That just came to my mind because I saw his name. I knew that name. And his debut for Norfolk State, threw for 199 yards, 2 touchdowns, and 2 interceptions. Also led the team in rushing with 51 yards and 1 touchdown. Through the air, DeKendall James led Norfolk State with 5 catches, 101 yards, and 1 touchdown. And defensively, you had Bobby Price and Deshaun Dixon, both with 7 tackles, and Brandon Savage, Nigel Chavis, and Dale Craig, all 3 with 6 tackles. Now, ODU, this is one of these middle-of-the-road group of 5 FBS squads that you mentioned, PP, and you see Norfolk State is not known as a very successful football school the past couple of years, and they hung in there with them. Norfolk State did not give up. They played hard. Are these the types of outcomes you're expecting you're expecting from playing lower run group of 5 schools, PP?
Yeah, ODU is a Sun Belt school, and it takes the right combination. Like with Grambling when they played Arizona, it takes the right combination of FBS transfers with the right coach and getting the right team at the right time. And that's what happened with Norfolk and a couple of the other schools. Like, not everybody's A&T. They built a juggernaut as far as program is concerned, not just HBU, but just FCS overall. But it takes that right combination as far as like what happened with Howard and UNLV last year. It just takes that right time, right moment.
Right. Mr. Rice?
What's going on?
We're talking about the Norfolk State versus ODU football game. That's the type of matchup that people was talking about. HBCU versus a lower run group of 5 squad, and Norfolk State, not known as a strong football school, were able to hang in with the Monarchs. What do you think about this 24-21 loss?
Like I said, with the inauguration of the Celebration Bowl, I believe a lot of schools who are, a lot of the programs, the schools are looking to put money into their programs to recruit better players to get there. So a lot of these programs that we don't hear about, we're going to start hearing about. Like Valley, I was truly impressed with Valley.
Yeah, man, watch out. With
we ain't gonna go that far, but no, they're very competitive. They got a young coach and a young team, and I say in a couple of years, you gonna hear them. Maybe next year you gonna hear them.
We gonna beat
y'all.
So
with that being,
we gonna beat y'all.
Not with Mena. not under Mena. It ain't gonna happen. Y'all got lucky under. I ain't gonna name his name. That other coach we had, y'all got lucky under him. But but I will say you're gonna hear a lot from a lot of these schools that you normally don't hear from because of the Celebration Bowl. Schools are now starting to invest in that athletic program that would normally do that, and people are recruiting more qualified players instead of just getting any type of players. So,
Kels, any comments on Norfolk State, ODU?
I think, it's like you said, they're going to start looking at these programs, the programs that we don't hear about. It's going to slowly start to make more noise. And the thing is when you beat these type of programs, or when you have these type of programs, the North Carolina A&Ts and schools like this that are making noise, this looks good when you start having recruiting moments. It looks good for recruiting.
Mm-hmm.
Exactly.
Definitely.
Now, to run down our final 2 HBCU football games, and I saved these 2 games for last in the MEAC on purpose because HBCU made some noise in FCS, y'all. We made some noise in the FCS. Number 19, North Carolina A&T defeated number 21, Elon, 24-21. A game-winning 52-yard field goal by Noel Ruiz as time expired was the difference. And Coach Washington, gets I guess you can say, a statement win in FCS by beating another ranked opponent. Kels, what's your opinion on North Carolina A&T on their quest for a 3-peat and also showcasing their strength? Because, last week we talked about them trying to make a run for FBS. But what do you think about this upset of Elon?
The thing is it's kind of like a lot of things to say about A&T because, of course, they're predicted to be number 1. Of course, they're predicted to finish out. They're predicted to, of course, go back for Celebration Bowl. But to see that they keep beating out these opponents, was Jacksonville or something before, they keep beating out opponents. They beat out Kent State before. To beat out the opponents that they keep beating out, and it's just like someone said earlier, they're showing us, I think that was Patrick, they're showing us how to do it. So it's a great recruiting tool when you see this type of things. And the thing is that when Broadway left, it's like Washington didn't miss a step. It's like you picked up right where he left off. And I can only imagine all right, bring me my money. Same type situation. That's the only thing I can think of. Bring me my money. That's the only thing I can think. Bring me my money. And this ain't HBCU, but I'm gonna say the same thing occurred with Tennessee and Georgia State on Saturday. Bring me my money.
Bring me my money.
I beat you, and I need you to bring me my check. And I think that's exactly what it is. They racking up the money. They getting the wins and they getting checks. Those are the people they're gonna be like, okay, we're not rescheduling North Carolina A&T because they keep on taking the money and they keep on winning.
Yes, and Mr. Rice comments on North Carolina A&T's upset win over Elon.
They are a team right now to be reckoned with. They actually, A&M, to be truthful, A&M was actually going after their coach as well, but he decided to stay, and he's a good coach.
If Washington comes to the SWAC, he coming home to Valley. Y'all can't have him. Nope. He coming home to Valley if he comes to the SWAC.
Yeah, he wanted to coach at Valley. He wanted to coach at Valley, but
he said he was going to retire. He said he was going to retire at North Carolina A&T, and I don't blame him. They love their program. They invest in their program, and right now, North Carolina A&T is the team to be reckoned with. They the team to beat. They proved their worth last year with that upset victory over Jacksonville State. So I can't say too much about North Carolina A&T. I'm not surprised that they pulled this one off.
At this point, you can't even call it that. They're not even upset anymore. I think they had to make a statement last year, I guess, to prove for all of FCS that, okay, they got those fluky wins against Kent State and Charlotte or whatever. But the win against Jacksonville State last year with all the FBS transfers, then they went to Elon and beat them ranked team or whatever. Yeah, like I said before, they're not just a good HBCU program anymore. They're one of been the most consistent FCS programs over the past 4 or 5 years, period.
Right.
Nothing, they're just a top 10 FCS program, period, now.
All right, so before we get out of here, the last game, save the best for last. This was an unranked South Carolina State team. Coach Pooh of the Pope, correct me if I'm wrong, was rumored that he was, not going to return, but he did sign and came back. And he starts out this new season with a statement win against the number 8 ranked team in FCS, Wofford. And they just didn't beat them. They beat them. They beat them 28-13. So that's a 2-score victory for South Carolina State. Kels, when you saw South Carolina State defeat the number 8 ranked team in FCS, what was your response?
Yeah, y'all know I'd be real smart. I'd be want to get on social media and say the worst, the most, but I have to calm myself and remember that we'd be on social media. And I do. So many things come to mind, like, they did it again. And then I'm like, okay, just as much as I had to say, I had to remember that it's so many other people in the internet world that have so much to say, too. So I just kind of congratulate and move on. But, again, I think it's big. And it's going to come a point, like Patrick says, at some point it's going to be where it's no longer, okay, they just beat this team, or it's no longer going to be an upset. It's just going to be something that's just going to be normal in a minute.
Exactly, and just to run down how South Carolina State defeated Wofford. It was a defensive swarm. Tyrese Nick at quarterback threw for 201 yards, 1 touchdown, 1 pick. The Bulldogs ran for 75 yards on the ground and 3 touchdowns, but defensively, they intercepted Wofford 4 times, 4 picks. Wofford was able to run the ball, but of course, when you're down, you got to throw the ball. And that South Carolina State Bulldog defense just would not allow them to get back into the game as far as them throwing to get back into the game. So, like I said, this is a statement win. South Carolina State has been putting players in the NFL, Hargrave, the Maniac, Darius Leonard, and Coach Pooh back. Got the Bulldogs looking to try to take that top spot away from North Carolina A&T. But I like this game. I like this win. It's a statement win for me. Defeating a ranked team and you're unranked. Hopefully they can keep the momentum. And when I do that, I have to look at the schedule. I think they do play North Carolina A&T, and it's possible if these two teams can continue playing. I know this is just game 1. But when you have two teams that play, I guess you could say, defeat a ranked team, a team that, hey, look to be competing in the 1AA playoffs or FCS playoffs, and HBCUs beat them, we're making noise, baby. Kels, go ahead and close us out.
We thank everybody for joining us for this special edition of Black College Experience on Monday. Hopefully everybody enjoyed their Labor Day. We are getting ready to kick it off, so I will take my place this weekend on the sidelines of Clark Atlanta and Livingstone. The Livingstone Blue Bears, Black Bears, whatever color bear you want to call it. But I will be with Clark Atlanta this weekend, so I'm excited to actually still be home to actually see what the Black Bears are going to do. I'm here, I guess, 2 weeks, and then I will be taking this mission on the road to FAMU. So, again, I will be here this weekend with Clark Atlanta and the Livingstone Black Bears.
All right, so Mr. Rice, I want to thank you for calling in and playing the BCE Fan Pick'em. I'll be putting out week 2. Maybe you'll be a 2-time champ. Who knows, man? PP, I want to thank you for always calling in and contributing, man. I really appreciate you, LB. And, of course, you know, the CEO of Black College Experience, you know what you mean to the HBCU world, to HBCU sports as a whole. So what you do, you know, deserves recognition. So have fun on the sidelines. And I gotta let you know, I don't know if you saw this for the Florida AMU Southern game. I did invite your old co-host back, Krista Bennett. You know, let y'all go at it, you Jags and Rattlers. So
I did. I saw you do that, and I do. I look forward. Of course, it'll be a lot of bouncing through the week, so I do. I look forward to that conversation and to what's going to happen with FAMU. But no doubt, if FAMU plays us like they play UCF, we're going to have a good time.
Yes,
we're going to have a great time.
Any more announcements before we get out of here?
I think, but yeah. I don't know if you saw what happened in the SWAC with volleyball. Did you see that?
No, I didn't.
Okay, so before we get, because I got to dig this up. So they had a big announcement that came across with volleyball. And so First Point Volleyball Foundation and USA Volleyball makes a $1 million investment into the SWAC member institution. So what they're doing is they announced the addition of men's volleyball as the league's 14th sponsor sport with the support of $1 million.
Men's volleyball?
Men's volleyball. So it's going to be Central State, Benedict, Fort Valley, Kentucky State, Morehouse, and Payne will have Division I, II men's volleyball, and it will debut in the spring of 2021.
Oh, that's awesome. Awesome.
Yep,
I think that's great.
Yep, it's coming. So I did. They did. They kind of sent that out. So be on the lookout for that coming. But again, that's in 2021. But again, it is coming. Oh, and before we get out of here, shout out to Tennessee State knocking off of Auburn 3-2 this weekend in volleyball. They did that. So shout out to those Tennessee State Lady Tigers knocking them off. Like I said, 3-2.
Yes, indeed. All right. Well, we are out of here. Make sure to tune in next week as we will recap all of next week's action in HBCU football and athletics. For Derek Thomas, Keisha Kelly, Mr. Rice, and PP, we are out of here.
Good night.
Take care.